how to invest in real estate from zero and be able to buy a house within 1 year. Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode at Novarise. Today we're going to talk about what you need to do in order to invest in real estate and be able to purchase a house within 1 year. And for that, we have Novarise co-founder Anthony LLanos to share his story and his journey and how he became a real estate investor as well. I know that typically I'm the one that tends to share the stories, the tips, but it's gotten to a point in where I don't want to give the impression and where people start thinking, well, it's easy for her because she's been doing this over and over again. So instead, what I decided to do was to interview a newbie in the real estate space. For those who don't know, we actually had a live event with our student last year, and where we just gather and hang out and talked about investments and stuff like that. And many of our students were actually surprised to find out that Anthony did not invest in real estate, even though he is a co-founder of Novarise. And I am glad to say that exactly 1 year after that, you actually became a real estate investor. So we want to hear everything from your perspective, everything from someone who's never done this before. And I know you've heard a lot of stories from me, the struggles and everything I had to go through to be able to acquire the portfolio that I have today. But one thing is hearing about it, and one thing is actually going through with it. So first things first, let's talk about the down payment, because that's what seems to stop most people, right? Oh, I don't have enough savings, I don't have enough money, I haven't gotten enough to the down payment. How did you manage to gather that down payment in 1 year, which is, in your case, as a real estate investor, is 25% down of the purchase price? So
correct. So before, I would like to cover about the reason why I didn't invest in real estate sooner. And it's because covering the question that the students had, which they asked me, okay, why are you not investing in real estate? The answer would be that we're two separate individuals. Even though we're married, we have similar goals, we have similar hobbies, but we're not the same up to one point. So she has different goals, I have different goals up to a certain point. And my goal in the previous years were solely focused on how can we grow Novarise to the next level, while you were getting better at your investments. So that's the reason why I didn't buy my first property sooner.
We just divided and conquer.
Correct. Yeah? So now let's talk about the down payment, how I started getting money to pay for that property. The first income that I was receiving for that first property is because, for the ones that don't know, I have a traveling channel. I no longer make content on that YouTube channel, but since I did a lot of work on that, so that work is paying dividends, meaning I received like around $200, $300 a month from that channel because the videos that I created, they are generating that income. So I was very happy, like a really nice income. And the next income that I was receiving obviously is from Novarise. And the third thing that I was doing is that I use my credit cards, personal credit cards, a lot. So when I use them, obviously you are collecting points, and I was redeeming those points not in the credit cards. I was redeeming those points in my bank account. So there is an option to do cashback. And as well, whenever I had a chance, I was doing balance transfers from those credit cards to my checking account. So that's how I was collecting money. So my goal was to collect between $1,000 to $1,500 monthly. And that's how I started collecting that money, saving that money in my bank account.
So you're a true example that shows that you don't necessarily have to get a second or a third or fourth job or a side gig, whichever you want to call it, in order to generate income. There are other creative ways to do that, and it seems that you're maximizing it. Yeah, of course, like your YouTube channel from before Novarise was already existent, so you put in a lot of work and effort into it, and it's paying off. That could be considered your side gig. But then additionally to that, you just leverage the tools that you already had. So you had sort of like your full-time job at Novarise as your main source of income, but you took advantage of the credit card perks. And just to clarify, it's not like Anthony went out on a madness shopping day and then just decided to shop everything that came his way. He just simply switched habits, right? So instead of paying for, I don't know, the internet with your debit card from your bank account, you will pay it with your credit card. And then when you went grocery shopping, you will pay with a credit card. And the cash that you would have used normally to pay for those transactions, you would have used that money to pay for the credit card. So not only you managed to get points that you converted into cash back, which translates to more money for you to be used as the down payment, but another benefit that you got out of it is that you were nurturing that credit history as well. So you had a full year to show that you are a responsible credit card user, you were paying your debt on time, and to just build that over time. And the offer of balance transfer is great because it allows you to pull money out of your credit cards and not worried about having to deal with any interest that you will eventually have to pay. Well, now you're paying that debt back, but the income is actually coming from your rental. So it's not coming from you per se. So now that we have the down payment out of the way, so to speak, talk to us about the process of getting that property that you currently own, like from finding it, from financing. How was it for you? How was the journey for you? Because it can get quite overwhelming at times.
So the funny part in terms of financing, when I applied for the mortgage, I got denied. And it was a very funny situation because I did have the down payment.
You had the
I
credit.
had also the credit. I have a stable company which is generating income for us.
And you have enough reserve funds as well.
Correct. And when I submitted my application with the lender, they were saying that I didn't have 2 years of tax returns, correct?
The same company.
With the same company. Even though I was working with a different company, it's not like I was unemployed for like, I don't know, like 6 months, but I was working with a different company. And then I had transitioned to a different company, but they didn't like that. So they were like, I don't know, scared that I'm not going to pay that.
One thing with the lenders, or I don't know, the lending business in general, is that they like to see what they call, quote unquote, stable income. And so in their views, especially for underwriters, is that if they see that you haven't had enough time with a company, there are higher chances of you getting fired or being let go, for example. So in your case, you never stopped working, but it just happened so that they asked you for 2 years worth of tax return, but then the current year was with Novarise, and then the prior year that they asked just happens to be with a different company. And their rationale was like, well, you could be let go by Novarise. And you're like, but I am the founder. But in their mind, it's just like, no, this is like a W-2. You can be let go. I mean, there's no guarantee of people being let go, even if they've been in the company for 10 years.
Yep.
But for some reason, they just associate that. And just because of that, they deny your mortgage, which was definitely a big lesson learned for you and for me as well, because you will think that, hey, if you have the money, then people or lenders will want to finance you. But you didn't want to use all of your money. You want to use just only a portion of it and then leverage the bank to finance the rest. But they were just like, no, you didn't fit our cookie cutter model of like the standard person who applies for a mortgage. So you couldn't get that property that year, which must have been frustrated for you.
It was frustrating, but since we did an interesting type of investing, because you wanted to buy a property, I wanted to buy a property. So with the company that we were working with, basically what they did, they swapped our property. So Lucelia ended up taking my property that I was going to close on. And then I ended up taking her property, which you were going to close like at least 1 year later or like a couple of months later.
Because it wasn't ready. So we bought brand new properties. And the one that Anthony was about to close was just coming to being done. And so it was time for you to close on the property. And we actually planned it that way because I figure, hey, I don't mind waiting another year. I already have some properties, but like it would be cool for you to be able to get a hand on a property. And it just didn't work out. So I ended up buying his, and then you had sort of like an extra year to work things out. And what was funny is that you were waiting that extra year, you know, minding your business, doing your Novarise thing. And then all of a sudden you get a call like, hey, your property's ready. You have only a few weeks to secure financing. And then everything was a rush for you.
Yeah.
And so how was that like?
It was not as stressful as the first time, because the first time I was like, oh,
You were brand new to
I ran into everything. The second time was much better because I was prepared for that. Because one of the things I learned from watching Lucelia doing is that she scans everything that she receives, meaning if she receives like a W-2 from her job, she scans that. And she doesn't like to just keep like a paper copy of that. And she stores them, and she stores them well somewhere. And also, let's say she received the K-1 of the company, she stores that as well. So I was like, okay, let me organize all the files that the lender is going to ask me for in one folder. And that way, whenever she or he is going to ask me for them, I'm just going to drag and drop that folder into the email and send it to them.
Yeah, and for the most part, lenders ask for the same type of documentation. They want to see proof where you get your money, that everything is legit. I guess that the only difference between one lender or the other is that one might ask you 3 months, some others might ask you 6 months, but in essence, it's kind of like almost the same.
Yeah.
So as long as you can have like a sort of like a yearly template of like the documents that you think a lender will ask you, regardless of whether you plan on buying a property or not, because sometimes a property might just pop out of nowhere. And somebody might give you a call, hey, Anthony, I have this property right here. If you're interested, you were not planning on buying, but hey, if the numbers make sense, you will move earth and sky and like everything around you to make sure you find that right financing and put your hands on that property.
Doing the strategy which I just talked about can save you so much time. If you start having a digital copy of whatever document you are going to need for your lender, so it's going to save you so much time. When the lender asked me, okay, can I get the proof of these documents? I was like, haha, let me just drag and drop. And he received those documents. He started getting quotes for different lenders because the one that I worked with was a broker. So he was connected with multiple banks. So that was very, very important as well. And when I received the mortgage application and it's telling me the terms, one of the terms, obviously, the interest was a little bit higher than I expected it to be. Because originally, with the property that I was going to close that you originally took, the mortgage rate was about 4.5%. And I was like...
times and the rates were actually lower market-wise,
And now with this new application, with the new terms of that mortgage, it was 6.5%.
You can take the FET for that.
Yeah. And I was like, oh man, I did the numbers with the calculator that you offer in the course. I was like, let me take the interest that we're going to pay for with the mortgage. Let's see how much it's going to be with the property manager. Let's see how much are we going to pay in expenses for the property as well. And at the end of the month, I was going to end up with like $100 a month with cash flow. And I wasn't...
not bad. But
it's not bad. It wasn't enough for me because...
You wanted more.
I wanted more. So what I told the lender is there a way you can lower these interest rates? Is there something I can do? And my expectation was, okay, I don't have to pay anything extra. Maybe if I ask nicely, they will lower that. But obviously, it doesn't work like that in this world. They wanted money. And the lender told me, okay, there's something that I can do for you. You can buy with points, and instead of paying 6.5, the new mortgage was going to be like 5.65%, which is going to be a tremendous amount of savings on the long term of the mortgage. And I was very happy with that. And obviously, it's not for free. And in this case, the lender was going to charge me like about $3,000 just to reduce those interests from the original terms that I got with the mortgage. And after negotiating those points, the cash flow that I got was $350 a month.
Which is definitely higher and...
much higher.
It make you a lot happier than the $100 something. Some might cringe at the thought of like paying $3,000, but it's $3,000 that you're investing today in exchange of savings and interest and higher cash flow in the long run, because that rent that you're collecting today will definitely be different 10 years from today. And so what you did right from the get-go was to minimize an operating expense. And at the end of the day, it's all deductible from your taxes because it's counted as an original investment that you as a business owner made towards the company, and all that stuff that your accountants can bore you with, right? But bottom line is, it makes sense for you to pay that fee in exchange for a lower rate. And for those who want to learn how to do that, here's a video where I talk about how you can actually negotiate those points and bring down your interest rates, even though they're high in today's market condition. And even if the future, if the rates go down, but you're not happy with it and you want it even lower, you can buy those off as well. Not all lenders do that, but most lenders do offer the chance of you buying your points off.
Correct. And something extra I wanted to add is that when I reach out to the lender first, and I told them, is there a way I can do more for the down payment? Let's say like 30%, 40%. And he told me it will not make a difference. Like you will still get the same interest rate. And that's when he told me, okay, we're going to lower your interest rate if you pay a fee for that.
And that's how you know your broker knows what he's talking about. Because, I mean, in the world of investments, why would you want to put more down payment? Like, it's an investment. You want the investment to pay for itself. You can use the additional cash to, I don't know, keep reserves in case of an emergency, or just simply use it to buy another property. And so I'm glad that he actually offered a much better solution that wasn't as costly for you, because you were willing to put down, what, even 50%? Like, you're willing to...
Almost there. Yeah.
And so that's a lot of money, in essence, for nothing in return other than a lower mortgage payment. But then you're also tying your liquidity to a property, and it's not like it was going to give you more in exchange. Now, switching topics, moving away from the financing part of it, how did you actually find this property? Because you talked about it briefly, about me wanting to finance it, and then we swapped it.
Yeah.
But you didn't really tell the story as to how you found them.
So how we found those properties is that we attended a networking event, and then we met this builder, and this builder was selling properties, but obviously those properties weren't built yet. We were just buying the possibility of owning a property. That means that the property wasn't built yet. But in that networking event, the builders, they took us to see their product, meaning how many houses they have built. We went through the area to see, okay, are we going to like the property that we're going to buy from these people? And as well, to make an analysis of the area to see if there is something going on, because you just don't want to buy a property, like, I don't know, in the countryside, and in reality, maybe you're not even making money. Like, there is no appreciation.
For that, there's no property at all.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, typically the way, just to clarify, we don't usually go out to check the properties when we buy it. Like, because for the most part, the properties that I buy, at least, they already exist. They're already there. I can go on Google Maps to check them out. I can send my property manager. I can work with a title agency to make sure there is, in fact, a property on the lot. But in this case, because there was nothing built, we wanted to make sure, first, does this lot even exist? And second, are these people really the builders that they claim they are? So we did the analysis, we researched the builder to make sure that they are a pretty legit company. And then we also did market research around the area to sort of like evaluate the potential and go in before it was too expensive, right? So when you do things like that, you're kind of like taking a risk, which is a risk we were both willing to make. It was a new area that we were investing in. We were not familiar with it, but we went with our facts, not even our gut or instincts, because when you're analyzing an investment, like, the numbers have to make sense and the facts have to be there for you to prove that you're making the right move. So we interviewed the property management company that was going to transition into taking over our property, the builder, we saw the lot, we checked out the materials, we checked out the finishes, and we knew that we were investing in a good product.
Correct.
Not just a random manufactured home that somebody just put there and, like, you know, hey, buy my house and use it.
I just want to add more in terms of the process of locking the property. I'm just going to speak for myself, the reason why I wanted to buy those properties. First of all, when you're locking the property, you need to put a down payment. So depending on the builder, that means
relatively small. I mean, the down payment does change depending on how close it is to completion.
Correct. So that was very important, of course. The next thing, one of the few main reasons, the reason why I wanted to buy that property is because it was brand new.
Less maintenance.
That means less maintenance. That's correct. And as well, I wanted to have something for myself that I can call, okay, I'm investing, not just because Lucelia is investing on that, but I'm also doing my own thing because, you know, I just wanted to diversify a little bit more. And that's before we even got married or anything like that. Mm-hmm. And the next thing that interested me about this builder is that they gave us a warranty of 1 year. So they told us if something goes wrong with the property in the first year, they will fix it. without any problems. So I was very happy with that. I'm like, okay, it makes a lot of sense. The down payment is not much. So I was like, oh, let's invest in that unit.
Yeah. And so far it's been, what, 2-3 years now? I lost track of time at this point. We're doing pretty good with them. And in fact, there's actually a video about them in our channel. So it's right here. Feel free to check it out. The link is down in the description box. So let's just go back to your story and let's just try to, you know, condense everything and provide everyone with a summary, because we did talk a little bit about everything. So in the title, we did promise, you know, tips that you will share with everyone to be able to buy a house within a year. Looking at the way the story unfolds, we don't want to give the perception that it took you actually 2 years to buy it. It might seem like it is a 2-year thing, but in reality, you were ready to buy within 1 year. It was just that surprise that we encountered with your tax return. We just didn't expect them to deny your mortgage, even though you had money, because you will think, well, cash is king. If you had the money, if you were able to gather all that money, who cares? You know, you're willing to finance it. But I guess some rules cannot be bent. And then in essence, what you ended up doing is just to wait another year. But you were really ready to go within 1 year. So in terms of interest rates, some may say, well, you know, when Anthony bought and rates were a little lower and now today you can't find such rates, I am happy to share with you that I am in the process of closing on some other investment properties. And in fact, even with the rates that we get today, I was able to get a lower rate than Anthony because of the same strategies, buying off points. And in fact, I was able to get a rate of 4.75 as opposed to you 5 something. So even though the rates are higher today, I ended up with a lower rate than you do. And that just goes to say that the best time to invest is today. Yes, we want to wait and buy that house that is at the lowest prices possible and get the lowest rates as possible. But when is that going to be? 1 year, 2 years, 3, 4, 5? What if it's 10 years? In 10 years, you would have acquired how much cash flow, right? Just do the math. And within 10 years, your property would have appreciated multiple times. You would have taken multiple cash out refis out of it, pulled the equities out. And so what if it drops within 10 years? By then, you already made a lot of money in that process before the property went down at the end of the day. Now, for those looking to learn how to run the numbers the way Anthony did during his analysis, you are free to join us at this free webinar. The link is right here on the screen, and you can also find it in the description box below. In that webinar, not only you will learn how to run the numbers properly, but you will also learn how to identify the right property for you so you can continue to cash flow for as long as you hold the property. So I'll be seeing you at the webinar, and take care. Bye-bye.
Take care.